All right, shalom, 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 brothers and sisters. Kazakia back again. This is part number what? 8? Part 8. And we're doing these questions on the New Testament, right? Now, some of these are actually, um, so we ended last um, series where Romans 5 was the main primary question, 5 and 8, right? And then the statement was made that no one can come give their life as a sacrifice for anyone, especially while in a sinful state. So we've proved that wrong by looking at the the law pertaining to sacrifices for those who sin through ignorance, right? For those who are homeborn, we left, and those who were strangers. So Numbers 15 and 29 says, "You shall have one law for him that sinneth through ignorance, both for him that is born among the children of Israel and for the stranger that sojourn among them." Right? So there is a law that is for those who sin through ignorance. Right? Okay. So even if you sin against Yahshua through ignorance, right? Because you just didn't know, and maybe you heard somebody beat Yahshua over the head and demonize him and merged him back to Jesus and made him a deity, made him an idol. Yahshua will forgive you, right? So through the sacrifice to ignorance, right? Now that doesn't mean you're going to be in the elite status in the kingdom age. You might be a servant at the door. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind, right? All right. Um, Matter of fact, I stand in position, right? Okay, I would if I was a non-messianic and I didn't believe in Yahshua any longer, I would still stand kind of mutual because what if I'm wrong, right? And what if my prognosis, uh, my my guesstimation or my estimation or whatever words you want to make up is wrong? There's a great price to pay for ignorance. I mean, you'll be saved now, but your status will be changed, right? Okay, now let's go back in. So uh we have Hosea 3, 4, and 5. For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without tephilim. Afterwards shall the children of Israel return and seek Yahuwah Elohim, and David the king shall fear Yah and his goodness in the latter days. Okay. What is that reference to? No one can have the sacrifice for anyone, or is that for something different? Hold on, let me see. Hold on a second. I got to see where this is fitting in because I didn't get a chance to read this part here. Okay, all right. Oh, original sin. I like that. Okay, I kind of covered it already, but we'll deal with it. Okay. And two, I think original sin might be another doctrine, but we'll talk about that in a minute when I get down there. Okay. So Hosea 14, 1, 2, Yah, O Yah, return to Yah, for you have fallen by your iniquity, taken with your words, and turn to Yah, saying to him, take away all iniquity and receive us, so we will render the calves of our lips, right? Wherefore, the wicked shall not stand in judgment, nor sinners in the assembly of the righteous. Then will I teach transgressors away, and sinners shall return back to you. Okay, so all these verses here, I don't know if they're supposed to be to this statement. No one can give their life for sacrifice for someone's sin, or if that's for the statement here below. So I please pardon me, my brother, on this one here if I kind of missed it because I'm just looking at this for the first time. All right. So, but these verses here, Ezekiel 18:20, the soul of sin shall die. We read that one already, so we kind of repeating the same two verses here. Original sin is wrong. We cannot be held liable for Adam's transgressions. Well, we have been. I don't know that it's called original sin, but that we are held accountable for for uh, Adam's sin, and death came to the whole world. So let's look at this and let's examine this completely, right? Original sin is wrong. Okay. Now I had somebody that said that. So maybe there's a doctrine called original sin. I don't know. Maybe I'm using the wrong um, phraseology. Original sin. Okay, I had to pull this article up on original sin because I wanted to be accurate in my dissertation. So, original sin is the Christian doctrine that holds that humans, through the fact of birth, inherit a tainted nature in need of regeneration and a proc- proclivity to sin conduct. The biblical basis for the belief is generally found in Genesis 3, story expulsion of Adam and Hawa from the garden in the line of Psalm 51:5. I was brought forth in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Okay. This says Judaism does not see human nature as irrevocably tainted by some sort of original sin, while for the Apostle Paul, Adam's act released a power into the world by which sin and death came, the natural lot of mankind. Early Christianity had no specific doctrine of original sin prior to the 4th century. The idea developed incrementally in the writings of the early church fathers in the centuries. Okay, so we already know early church fathers. I have an issue with them anyway. So let's look a little further at, because the phrase original sin and the doctrine may be something different. Let me see. We cannot be held liable for Adam's transgressions, nor anyone else's. We're not born into sin. We must transgress ourselves and bear our own sins. Born in sin. Let's see. Let me think about that. Okay. 1 second. Something's coming to my mind. Hold on. Okay. So, with regards to the original sin, and let's see, um, that I have to look a little further into, because when you look at the doctrine, because I actually utilized that in a previous video, and somebody rebuked me for that. But um, I guess my view is not so much necessarily that you were born a sinner. Okay, so 'cause my brother is saying here, we cannot be held liable for Adam's transgression, right? So it's kind of a thin line between the two, because we are a result of our Father, right? And so judgment comes upon us because of our fathers, right? A lot of times, innocent are judged because of the father's sin. You know, for example, I've known plenty of people that were crack babies. Their parents was strung out on crack, and when that child came out with a deficiency, and some children never regained their mental capacity. Right, their whole life they lived in a semi vegetable type state of being. So I can't quite say that I agree that. See, we have to look at sin from a different angle, because there are judgments for sin that are not preventable if the father does commits certain violations of the Most High's Torah, right? So that one there needs a little more, but I don't see that as a contradiction of because I can take you to a place in Tanakh. We're gonna go to Psalm 104 in a minute, but in Psalms 51, right? Psalms 51, it says, "Have mercy upon me, O Yah." This is the musician, a psalm of David when Nathan the prophet came to him after he had gone into Bathsheba. So this is after he had killed the man. "Have mercy upon me, O Yah, according to thy loving kindness, according to the multitude of thy tender mercies. Blot out my transgression. Wash me thoroughly for my iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my sin, or I acknowledge my transgression, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee only have I sinned and done this evil in thy sight, that thou might be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me," right? "Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and the hidden parts thou shalt make me to know wisdom." So that's one verse there that stands to question, why did David say he was born, right? He was shapen in iniquity, and in sin my mother conceived me. Okay. Let's look at the Brentons. Let's see what Brentons say. "Before, behold, I was conceived in iniquities, and in sins did my mother conceive me." So Brenton says the same thing. So that's the Septuagint version. Okay. That right there is not a New Testament belief, but is more of a doctrinal belief according to how you view various passages, right, pertaining to Adam, because it's not the first time you see that is not in the writings of Paul. Okay. So I'm going to spare Paul on that one, right? Because I think that's from Paul. For by one man's sin, right? Let's see. For by one man sin. Okay. It's Paul, Romans 5 and 12. Romans 5 and 12. So, why can't I get it? Okay. So, I see why I can't get it, because it's not in the Brentons. I got to go back here. Okay, now I'll do it. Okay, whereas by one man's sin entered into the world, death and sin, so death passed upon all, for all sin. Okay, so that is where the church fathers embrace the doctrine called original sin, right? All right. So it's kind of like the Immaculate Conception versus the virgin birth, right? They're not the same, but they get mixed up. So being born in sin is what happened, right? Now you become a sinner when you transgress, because you're held accountable, right? Because if we go back to the book of the law on the sin through ignorance, right? You covered, right? So if you transgress against Yah's law, a baby can't trespass against Yah's law, because they don't even know, they're not even able to comprehend what law is. So you can't be held accountable. So if a baby dies, they'll be resurrected and they'll be in the kingdom. So, but then some people don't believe in the resurrection. So that's another lesson. So let's get back to the questions there. So that one there, let's kind of revisit this. Let's kind of revisit this one. Okay. Let's revisit this one at a later date. Okay. Psalms 104 and 35. Here's what becomes of sinners. Let the sinners be consumed out of the earth, and let the wicked be no more. Bless Yah, O my soul. Hallelujah. Says Psalms 104 and 35. Let's see. Let me go over there real quick. Is that what it says? Psalms 1. I'm not questioning your text, but I'm questioning whether or not here is what becomes of sinners. That's what I'm questioning, whether or not that was in the text. Let's see. 104, or was that a statement? 104 and 35. Okay. Okay, yeah. So that's what I was looking at. This is your statement. Okay, but Psalms, it says, let the sinners be consumed out of the earth, and let the wicked be no more. Bless. Okay, so that's more of a command. And if you go back and see who's the person saying this, okay, so that's not like a prophecy. It's not like Torah. It's like, I could say, everybody come against me is going to die in a car crash. That's not a command. That's not a prophecy. That is like a declaration that I made, right? So that verse can't be used as a Torah. Okay, let the sinners be consumed. Okay, let's see what it says in the Brenton's version. Let the sinners fail from off the earth, and transgressors, so that there shall be no more. Okay, so we know that's not true, because in the kingdom age there will be people in there that will be able to transgress. Okay, I'm gonna pull up a verse. Okay, let me see. Hold on a second. Okay, this is Zechariah 14:17. It shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King Yah of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. Right? And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not that have no rain, there shall be a plague where Yah will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. So that right there is a verse that the sinners, as that passage is leading one to believe that that's what's going to happen. All sinners will be consumed out of the earth. There are going to be people that's left, right? As a matter of fact, I can give you another verse that talks about in the kingdom age. Isaiah, I want to say, is it Isaiah? Okay, so Isaiah 66, right? And 23 says, and it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Shabbat to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, says Yah. So that kind of goes in conjunction with what we just read, right? And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worms shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh. Right? So transgression is going to happen, because why we go the law, and when we restate it, we go to Isaiah 2, right? When we're reinstated as a kingdom, right? It says, the word of Yoshiyahu, son of Amos, saw concerning Yehuda and Jerusalem. It shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yah's house shall be established on the top of the mountains, shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. And many people shall go and say, come, let us go to the mountain of Yahuwah and the house of Elohim of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. A nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Okay. So I guess my point in pointing that out is that sinners are not going to be destroyed. The earth, those that are left when the kingdom is returned back to Israel, and the Mashiach is ruling the nations, Yahweh of hosts, right, is ruling the nations. There's going to be people there that's going to challenge the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments, and they're going to have to be dealt with, right? So sinners are not going to be consumed out of the earth. In the end, they'll be thrown into the lake of fire. That's at the end. But then if you don't believe in the New Testament, then you don't believe in the lake of fire. You don't believe in the judgment at the end of the 1,000 years, right? Okay. And maybe you don't believe in the 1,000 years reign because you said, oh, where do I see 1,000 years reigning in the Tanakh? Where does it say that we will reign for 1,000 years? Okay. That is a question that we can do another video on. But I don't have time to go through it and try to break it down. If you like, make a comment and I'll do a video and do teaching on the kingdom age, right? But I can show you some things in the Tanakh that'll make you scratch your head and you say, I didn't know that was there. Okay. But I digress. Let's get back. What I got? 20 minutes. So this segment is over. So we'll continue in one more section. All right. Shalom, shalom, shalom.